everyone, and welcome to Dr. Emmet Embry Sr. You Better Stand Your Watch Leadership Podcast. First of all, I'd like to give honor to God, who's the head of my life, and without him, nothing is possible, nor realistic. And also give a big, great hello to my wife, Yasemi, and to all my kids. Today's topic is stemmed from a question that I received from an employee, actually. The question stemmed on why did I use the subtitle that I use for my book, for my research, and for the podcast, also for my website. And I explained to the individual, and the topic I'm talking about today is that it was spiritually based, and then it's centered around the fact that I should not give up as a leader. So today I'm going to talk to the leaders. It's going to be a little bit of spiritualness into it as well, because my subtitle came from a dream/vision from the Lord. I was going through really tough times at the time. I felt that my boss wasn't listening to me, because my boss wasn't listening to me, and negative vibes was coming from that associates was pulling away, and I couldn't get the direction that I wanted to from the associates, and the production wasn't what I wanted it to be. The communication wasn't where it should have been at work and at home. And I just felt like just walking away. It didn't matter that I was there for the employees. It didn't matter that I was there for other leaders. It didn't matter that I was there for my boss. Actually, it didn't matter that I was there for me, because I was there for financial guidance. I was there for financial support. I was there because I love doing what I do, communicating and helping and mentoring and developing people. But at that point in time, over that period of time, I felt separated. And I prayed. I said continuously, the prayer warriors out there understand what I'm saying. Prayed continuously until I had the dream. And in that dream, God said, stand your watch. I had no idea what he was talking about. He said, stand your watch. I had the dream 4 times. Actually, I had the dream 7 times. But 4 times, it said, stand your watch. He said, stand your watch. The things that's going on in the dreams, I had to stand my watch, the things that's going on in the dream. He kept saying, stand your watch, stand your watch. I had to stand my ground, basically. I had to defend myself in these dreams. Then from the 5th to the 7th dream, he showed me the book of Ezekiel. And in the book Ezekiel, it talks about Ezekiel being a watchman for the people of Israel, the Jewish people. And I started putting it together. I said, wait a minute. There's a reason why I got part A and part B of that dream. So I took the stand your watch and I geared it towards me as a motivator. You know, you always have a motivator. You always have a catchline, catchphrase, a motivator, a pick-me-up, a gimme-go for when you're down as a leader, something to pick you back up, something to keep you going. So what I did, I added to the phrase, stand your watch. And I said, to make it personal, you better stand your watch. So that's where it came from. When I say you better stand your watch, I'm pretty much directing to myself. Stay focused, stay on key, stay on cue, continue to lead, continue to guide, continue to direct. And that's where the subtitle came from. Now, what some of you might not know is that Ezekiel, the book, also can be centered around the workplace. Now, in my dream, the Lord told me to read chapters 3 to 7 of the book of Ezekiel. This is where God appointed Ezekiel to be the watchman for the house of Israel. God said, son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word of my mouth and give them warning for me. Ezekiel was to speak God's word to them, whether they listened or did not listen. God told me to be a watchman over the workplace in my household at that particular time. The direction was for me to continue forward regardless on if they listened to me or did not listen to me. Some of the reasons why we as leaders pull away because we feel like we're not being heard, whether it be by a boss or our employees. We say, oh, they're not listening to us. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm trying to communicate with them, but they're not picking it up. They're doing what they want to do. By you standing your watch, you still putting the word out, still putting information out, you're still putting the direction out. And they hear you or don't hear you. Well, you make them hear you by holding them accountable. You hold them accountable through coaching, you hold them accountable through other disciplinary actions. But you just don't walk away. You stand your ground. You stand your watch. A watchman's duty and job were to blow the trumpet to give warning to the people of danger. God explained the duty of a watchman in Ezekiel 33, 1-6. He said, again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of thy people, and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon the land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast, and set him for their watchman, if when he seeth the sword come upon the land, he blows the trumpet and warn the people, then whoever heard the sound of the trumpet and taketh not warning, if the sword come and taketh him away, his blood shall be upon his own head. He heard the sound of the trumpet, and he took not warning, his blood shall be upon him. But he that taketh warning shall deliver his soul. But if the watchman see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person among them, he is taken away in his iniquity, but his blood would I require at the watchman's hand. So we are there in that workplace for a purpose. And that purpose is to guide, direct, and lead the people underneath us, which are employees. No, we are not the prophet or the disciple of the workplace, but God placed us there for a reason to oversee those particular people. God placed us for a reason underneath the leadership that we honor as well. No matter how much comes from each direction of disagreement towards your direction, you still better stand your watch. Ezekiel had much to say about the workplace in this. Before I told you it's similar, he compounds it and it relates to the workplace. When he speaks upon the workplace, it is called theology of work. The theologians understand what I'm saying that study theology. This is called the theology of work. Why? Because it relates to God. His words touched on financial in depth, economic development, honesty in the workplace, allocation of capital, workplace evaluations, fair return on investments, economic opportunism, success and failure, whistleblowing, teamwork, executive compensation, and corporate governance. That means there's not a job out there that anyone is doing that this theory of work does not apply to. You can apply it to any form of work that you do. Let's talk about finance and debt. Finance and debt. The way Ezekiel forms and what the Bible summarizes it basically is saying that the borrower is a slave to the lender. For the ones who attend church a lot and on a regular basis or more into the biblical teachings and things of that nature, you understand exactly what I'm saying. It's saying that the borrower is slave to the lender. What is it referring to? Referring to these credit cards that you're purchasing or all these other loans that you get and things of that nature. That means that you're a slave to them. But God wants us to lend to others. He loves a cheerful giver. That means that we are supposed to give. So he wants us to lend, and give to others. We are required to pay back what we borrow. You're not supposed to take from others. If you take from others, it's considered stealing. If you don't pay it back and you borrow it, it's a form of stealing. I know back in my younger days, I would come home from the military, come back to the neighborhood, to the old friends, and then my old friends would say, let me hold $20. First time I did it, I said, okay, all right, I'm letting him hold $20. I get $20 back. I'm home for 5 days. At $20, never came back. So I leave and go away again for about 6 months, 9 months, and I come back home. This is I first started in the military the first 2 years. And then these same friends will say, well, let me hold $20. Let me borrow $40. I learned my lesson then. I knew I wasn't getting that back. So you asked me to lend, you asked me to borrow, when basically you're taking it. You're not giving it back. So I stopped lending, allowing people to hold money from me, because you're required to pay back your borrowers, but they didn't. And to this day, they still owe me money. Romans 13:7 says, pay to all what is owed to them. Taxes to whom taxes are owed, revenue to whom revenue is owed, respect to whom respect is owed, and honor to whom honor is owed. You can take someone's honor and not give it back. You can take someone's respect and not give it back. So that's for that person will not respect you, your employees, and they will not honor you. If you respect and honor your employees, they will work hard for you. You will have success. They will listen to you. You will have success. Workplace evaluation is a form of judging. No one even thought about that. When you're evaluating someone and you're breaking into groups and sections of evaluating an individual, that means you're judging everything that person does. Even though Jesus warned his disciples, do not judge, it does not mean all judgment is anti-Christian. We know this form of judgment here is basically for improvement, development, and improvement to help the individual succeed and progress further. It's not a judgment of downfall, not a judgment to pull down. It's not a judgment of ridicule. It is necessary for us to make judgment of each other's as we go through life. You hear people say, don't judge me. Well, should I tell you what's wrong with you? Is that considered judging you? Should I look at you a certain way? Is that considered judging you? What do you mean, don't judge you? If I'm doing something wrong, I won't know it's something that I'm doing wrong unless someone tell me. So if you want that to be considered judging, well, judge me. Because, for example, if I got a cold, and with this cold, I have a runny nose. And with this runny nose, I'm constantly blowing my nose, constantly cleaning my nose. Well, at some point in time, I didn't wipe my nose completely. And that stands out on my face. Are you going to judge me in the form of assisting me, saying, hey, you might want to wipe that off because you didn't wipe your face completely? Or you're going to judge me in a form and say, oh, look at his face. Look at it, disgusting. Oh, it's nasty. Judge me by telling me if I've done something wrong, or if you see something wrong. I can correct that. I consider that deficiency. So if we're judging through evaluations, those are deficiencies that we're trying to get the individual to correct. Then you can judge through evaluation and you tell the individual all the good things they're doing. So you got a positive judgment, you got a negative judgment. Judging someone is not always negative. So what we do, we change the name on it. I'm observing you. So what you do after that observation? You tell the individual what they did and did not do, right or wrong. So that's a form of judging. This is why, so long as we do not fall into self-righteousness or judgment of others. Now, I talked about the positive. I mentioned the positive and the negative judging. The negative judgment can get you in trouble, not only with the person that you judge negatively with, but with God as well. Because God said he's the judge and the jury. So on certain situations that you go through, if someone judges you negatively to the point where it's not pleasing to God, then he takes care of that. Basically telling you, don't worry about that, I take care of it. That's the negative judging I'm talking about. That's the spiritual judging I'm talking about. Because you can judge someone in your spirit too. Proverbs 27:17 says, iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another. So judging by some is perceived as negative, strictly negative, no positive. I perceive it to be two different things, two different areas, a negative and a positive. Everything that you do in life, you're going to see a good, you're going to see a bad. You're going to see a negative. You're going to see a positive. The Bible talks about whatever there's good, that's bad. It talks about the heavenly meeting that God was having up in heaven, and Satan just comes up to the heavenly meeting. He asks him, where have you been? He said, to and fro. So whatever there's good, there's bad. Whatever there's negative, there can be positive. But I like to use what other people give me that I feel that I can benefit from. And then I consider that to be sharpening my tools, sharpening me. Iron sharpen iron. Talk about teamwork. While the word teamwork does not appear in the Bible, the Word of God does contain a lot of information about working together as a team. Like I said, disciples went out in pairs. They went out two at a time. They were working as a team, interchangeable. Teamwork is evident in the societal structures of marriage, family, community, and business. Advice for daily living, conflicts management, and related issues is available in Scripture. You just have to know where to look, how to apply the Bible principles to teamwork that relates to today's business. It's there. You have to go through it and understand it. And that's where some of us do not understand that either we do the biblical research ourselves, or you break down and you go attend church, a Bible teaching church, and you get that biblical teaching at church. You got two avenues to get it. But do not get that biblical teaching from Ted on the corner that's probably alcoholic or drug addict or just not doing anything with their life. Never opened a Bible up before and never been to a church. But yet he or she wants to tell you about biblical teaching. Don't take that person's advice and don't stand out there and argue with that person either. 'Cause I tell you right now, you'll never win. In the end, you're going to end up having a confrontation with that individual. So that teaching should come from either theoretical research or the men of God in his teachings. That spiritual leader in the workplace has that theoretical teaching. So they can relate that to you in the workplace, that spiritual leader in that workplace. And every workplace should, I'm not saying it does, should have a spiritual leader in that workplace. Whether that individual wants to stand out or not stand out, it's strictly up to that individual. But I don't foresee God having his Christians not scattered in various areas, because we're put in situations and places for reasons. It's up to us to speak or to display him within us. Nonverbal communication. So, with that said, are you speaking God's word at work? Christians in every workplace feel pressure to participate in activities they know are not compatible with God's word. We're leaders. And as leaders, you leading by example. So that employee that have that Christian background, that's have that small seed of that mustard, small as a mustard seed, that need that spiritual nourishing, that water to grow, spiritual water to grow. And the Lord put you in that place to do that. And you close your mouth. And you don't show your ways. And they never see God in you. You participate in the activities, the language, the body language, the vocal language that they're engaged in. So they see no difference in you than in them. In other words, they don't see God in their leader. They see themselves in their leader. And that what stems from the negativeness that you get, that forces you to want to walk away and just leave it alone and not be bothered with it and give up. But you better stand your watch. And standing your watch falls upon the biblical foundation. If you are spiritual, you need to display your spiritualness. It'll make you feel healthy. It'll make you feel better. It'll leave a healthy environment. Don't say, oh, no, I can't do that because negative is going to come up on me and they're going to judge me and all that. Well, I already told you, positive, negative judgment. You already know as a Christian, you're going to go through tough times because you're going from level to level to level. And if you're climbing a mountain, if you go from one cliff to the next cliff, it's going to be tough getting from that first cliff. And then you climb up to the next cliff. And then you climb up to the next cliff. Then you're just going to be a cliffhanger, just sitting there swinging because you're too tired to go up to the next one. It's the next level. It's all going to be tough getting to the next level. You put God's truth above the apparent comfort of fitting in. I don't want to be looked at in a bad way. I want to be the good boss. I want to be the perfect leader. I want to just come in and laugh and joke and fit in and hopefully they'll do what I ask them to do that way. Doesn't always work out that way because you give directions and you have that certain individual that want to try you anyway. That individual is the one that starts things to flow. I'm not listening to that person. Or they talk when you talk. Or they leave when you leave. Or they don't work when you're not around. This is not called to shrill judgmentalism at work, but it may mean standing up for the person being scapegoated, for the department's failure, or being the first to vote in favor of dropping a misleading policy and procedure. Now you're standing up. Stop picking on that associate. Why that associate getting all the hard work? Why are you giving the other associate all the easy job? Why is that associate finishing faster than that associate? Because you're not setting that associate up for success. You're setting them up for failure. Why all these policies are like this, not gearing towards the productivity of the workplace? But you got them working the old policies, old procedures. That's outdated. But you want current results. You can't do that. So as that leader, you just can't settle in and sit back, put the seatbelt on, and watch everything around you. Now, as a leader, you can. As a leader, take control. As a leader, be in charge. As a leader, be the motivator. As a leader, be the director. It could mean admitting your own role in perpetrating on office conflicts or writing an honest performance review despite the pain it seems to incur. I mean by that. Your boss might want you to do a performance evaluation on an employee and want you to get employee high marks. But you know from a leader working in that environment with that particular employee, that employee doesn't deserve that higher mark. Or want you to hire someone from within, someone who don't have leadership skills, don't work well with others. And you know that person does not work well with others and do not have leadership skills, but you don't say anything. So you get you get the good evaluation to the bad person. And then they come back and say, oh, get evaluation to the good person, give a bad evaluation. And you do it. And you hire someone within, you know do not have the ability to do that job that's available. But you do it. And in the end, who looks like the failure? That leader, not that leader boss. You better stand your watch. Stand firm. If God puts you in that position, only God can take it away from you. No matter what. I don't care if that leader coach you up to the third coaching and you're on your way out the company. I don't care if the leader above you make you look like you're the bad person that's going through. In the end, if God put you in that position, can nobody take it away? You can lay it down by giving up, walking away from it, say, I don't want to do it. But you better stand your watch and walk within that spiritual leader mentality. Your employee see that? Your employee's not going to give up. I'm sure you had some good workers who felt frustrated and felt that you weren't there to support them and felt that nothing was going right and was good leaders and walk away and lay down. Decide not to do it. So instead of some leaders encourage that leader to stay there and to endure and support that leader, they turn that leader into a trainer. So that leader who's sharp now is their trainer. So they train and develop people to go into certain positions that leader specializes in. You hurt that leader. You as a leader hurt that leader. Not that leader hurt themselves. You encourage that leader to stay there. You encourage that leader to do right. You start setting that leader up for success. You start coaching people that leader don't want to coach people. You start let the leader feel that you have that leader's back. You better stand your watch. These are ways of speaking God's words to others at work without speaking directly to them. Remember, you as a leader and as a spiritual leader, always being watched. When you're thinking not being watched by employees, you are being watched. When you're thinking not being watched by your mentee, you are being watched. Even at home, when you think you're not being watched by that spouse, you're being watched. When you're thinking not being watched by them kids, you are being watched. So if you're doing less negative things or you're not doing the things that you're supposed to be doing as a leader at work and at home, then you're not going to get that support. You're not going to get that respect that's bestowed upon a leader. As a leader, as a strong leader, you're always going to get pushback from someone, always. But you get that pushback, you take a step back, you do all that, let it hit you, and roll right off your back. Are your lives illustration of God's message? We communicate not only in works, but also in action. What are you doing where your actions displays who you are? Do your actions display who you really are? Or do your actions display who this person you develop to be who you are? Are you the same way at home and the same way at work? What I mean by that? At home, you just authoritative and you just disciplinarian and you the strong leader at home, male or female. The kids see that and they find you very exemplary and they follow your lead. And then you get to work and you don't do it. You sit back, you don't say too much, you let other people manage, you let the people above you manage you, tell you know exactly what needs to be done. Who are you? You displaying that you're this godly person at home, but at work, you're still a spiritual leader, but you don't display it at work. Your actions. And if you've done it over a period of time, say you've done it for about 5 years, and then this 6th year you had an epiphany, and you woke up. So, okay, I'm going to be the same person at work that I am at home. How long do you think it's going to take for that employees to pick up on that? It's not going to happen like that. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen over a period of time. And you're going to have to start from the top. So if your bosses don't respect you in that fashion and support you, it's going to be a struggle to get the people underneath you too. Throughout his ministry, Ezekiel was literally a walking visual illustration of God's promises and judgment. Like I said before, I am the same individual at home and at work. There's no confusion who I am. I always follow proper guidance, proper policy and procedures, always. From the time I hit the workforce at age 24 till the age I am now, age 24. Okay, I'm age 59. But I'm the same person. And you know what? Over the years, it didn't go my way. I would have these meetings at some of the jobs I got, and at the meeting they said, oh, these are the policy procedures, do not deviate. You got a problem with it, go to HR. HR just support you. Everybody be supporting you. Harassment, that's harassment, all that. I witnessed it. I go to HR and complain about it. Oh, you're a complainer. What? Did we go through this, do my orientation? You told me to do this. It's okay to do this, okay to communicate this in this fashion. But now, when I communicate it, you don't want to hear it. So they go talk to my boss. When they talk to my boss. My boss was doing bad things, first of all. Inappropriate relationship with some of the female employees. I knew it was wrong. So I reported it. But my boss had built a rapport with his boss and with HR for that company. I'd only been there for 2 years. My boss had been there for 12. So they figured they knew my boss better than they knew me. So I came forward and said that was inappropriate. My boss said, no, there's nothing going on. He lied on me. Who do you think they believe? They believe him. But they had to get outside HR in as well. Not just the HR from the facility, but outside HR, home office was involved. Home office outside looking in. So home office talking to the associates about my character, not about the situation. And the associates told them my character character is I'm by the book. I don't deviate. I'm not lying to anyone. I tell them the truth. They know I'm telling the truth because the end results is what I said at the beginning. So they listen to the people that work for me, and some of the managers came forward, well, only 2, and told the truth out of, 12 managers, and told the truth. But with so many associates, about 2,000 associates, saying the same thing about my character. And they realized that what the manager had said was wrong, but they couldn't prove it. They didn't prove it until the individual spouse came into the job, upset, complaining, everything else about catching them. They're like, uh-oh, why did we miss that? Because you're too busy listening to what the individual said. My persona, who I was, spoke for itself. The actions that I displayed spoke for itself. So when those fiery docs came at me, they just fell right off. Did I go through at a period of time for me standing up for what was right? Yes, I did. But my trust, belief, and love in God, I knew in the end that I was going to prevail. I just didn't know at what point it was going to happen. Actually, I thought it was going to take a week or 2. It took months. But I never wavered. I stood my watch. I said, if God put me in this job, I don't care what any of them do above me. I'm not going anywhere. That person leaving. Hello, that person left. So I knew that was position that God put me in. Are you willing to serve obstinate people? God forewarned Ezekiel that people will reject his message. Yeah, people are going to reject you. He said in Ezekiel 3:17, people are going to reject you. Not everybody going to agree with you. I hope you're not one of those leaders that think you're right all the time. Because if you are, oh my God, you're not going to lead that long. Not everyone's going to agree with you. So as a leader, we understand. Good leaders, we understand. Great leaders, we understand. Stand in your watch, leaders, we understand that sometimes we have to agree to disagree and walk away. And Ezekiel was overwhelmed with the call in Ezekiel 3:15. Yeah, sometimes we get overwhelmed. As I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, we get overwhelmed and just want to walk away. I'm telling you to walk away, breathe, and come back. Stay in your watch. You better stay in your watch. But the Lord's hand was on him, and God's spirit intervened in Ezekiel 3:14. God was there. God told him to do something, and God did not tell him to do it and then walk away from him. He told him to do it, and he was there to support him. When God told Moses to lead the people of Israel out of Egypt, he did not walk away from Moses. He stayed with Moses till Moses got to the point where he felt Moses had secured the people. Ezekiel had to stay with his people and suffer the consequences of their unrighteousness alongside them. Don't leave your employees. If you feel your employees getting beat up on by your boss, you stay there. You should be the interceder. You take some of that mess. Don't play dodgeball with your employees. You see it coming, you move. You see it coming, you move. You see it coming, you move. No, you dare support them. You're the interceder. You can take what's coming to them and you can support them by communicating with your boss. I don't think that's good. I don't think that's great. Or you take them shots and your employees see you taking it for them. So now your employees decide to help you out. Why? How? Because they respect you and by increasing productivity or by doing everything that you say or by finishing on time or by finishing early. You better stand your watch. As Christians, we may be called to remain in unjust workplace situations as witnesses to God's justice. What do you mean by that? You might just be there to witness the destruction, the deteriorating of your boss. Because God might have you there for your boss position. So while he have you there for your boss position, you're going to watch the deterioration of your boss. And the people that work from you, because of who you are, the action that you displayed, and the leader that you are, the positive leader that you are, they're going to welcome that. So every bad thing, negative thing that your boss done that was covered, God's going to uncover it. And you might not have anything to do with it at all. And then The Lord touched the soul, the spirit of the people above your boss. And you go into that position. All of us have difficult coworkers and bosses. We do. You're not going to walk into a workplace with everybody cheerful, singing kumbaya, saying, praising the Lord, happy to be there. There's no negativity. If you walk into a workplace like that every day, please call me on this podcast. I want to witness it. I want to see it because that's history in the making. Can we find a way to engage them without enabling their difficult behavior? How can we do that? How can we engage a negative person? How can we engage an individual who's targeting us as leaders? How can we engage them? By your actions of displaying your godliness. If they feel they can't break you, they're going to stop. If they see joy in you every morning, they see you out there training, developing your associate every morning. They see your communication every morning is positive. They can't break you. So they're watching. I hit that person with 3 lefts and 2 rights. They still standing. Wait a minute. They didn't even wobble. That means you standing firm. You still happy. You still bringing donuts. You still bringing coffee. Even though you thought about putting negative stuff in the other person's coffee. You didn't do it. That person sees that. So you can have a negative person reverse by your action, by who you are. But be careful with that. Don't misinterpret their motives. Because sometimes a negative person look like they reverse just to set you up, to put you in a bad situation. And they had not reversed. So be careful with that. How you be careful with that? You stand your watch. As long as you stand your watch, the Lord will reveal that individual to you. Are you willing to blow the whistle in the case of extreme immoral practices? Or do you just want to keep your mouth shut? I'm just happy to be here. I got a mortgage to pay. I got a car note to pay. But you're living paycheck to paycheck. You can't manage to save because of your bills. Why? Because the Lord have not given you an increase. Why have you not received that increase? Because you're not willing to blow the whistle in case of extreme immoral practices. You decided to dwell in that mess. And as you dwell in that mess, it consumes you. It stays on you. It weighs on you. It becomes heavy and weighs you down. You're no longer free and loose. So your action is dragging. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in the position no more. And then you walk away. You better stand your watch. A sentinel is literally a whistleblower charged with sounding alarm in the case of extreme danger. A properly trained sentinel handles minor dangers within his or her own capabilities, but warns the surrounding community about dangers too great to be handled alone. So how are you supporting that employee who sees this negativeness and who speaks out? And speaks out knowing that, hey, my boss is going to support me because my boss's boss is the one that causing the problem towards me. My boss is the one that touched me inappropriately. So I know I can get support from my boss, lean on my boss. But you won't blow the whistle. I don't want to be involved with that. I really didn't see anything. Nobody saw me see anything. It is sometimes argued that whistleblowing by employees is unethical because they have the duty of promoting the employer's interests. However, the sentinel's duty is to the entire community. Even if blowing the whistle makes the sentinel platoon or company look bad, you are there for the entire community of your employees. That's your workplace. That's your work environment. You have to stand firm. You have to be that leader, the face of that company, at least the face of that division, the face of that region, if not the face of that company. You have to be that individual that's positive, spiritual leader. Thank you for joining me today in this podcast. I appreciate you. Until we meet again, love you. Goodbye.